Famous people who disappeared mysteriously and were never found. But before we proceed, please subscribe the channel to support us. Jean Spangler. She was born in September 1923 and she disappeared in 1949. Her age was 26 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen in Los Angeles. Her whereabouts were never discovered. If somehow she is found alive today, her age would be 100 years. She was an American actress. Weldon Keys. He was born in February 1914 and he disappeared in 1952. His age was 41 at the time of his disappearance. He was last seen in San Francisco. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 110. He was a poet and painter. Connie Converse. She was born in August 1924 and she disappeared in 1974. Her age was 50 at the time of her disappearance. And she was last seen in Michigan. If somehow she is found alive today, her age would be 99. She was a singer and songwriter. Dorothy Arnold. She was born in March 1885 and she disappeared in 1910. Her age was 25 at the time of her disappearance. Her last seen location was New York City. If somehow she is found alive today, her age would be 139. Amelia Earhart. She was born in July 1897 and she disappeared in 1937. Her age was 39 at the time of her disappearance. Her last seen location was New Guinea. If somehow she is found alive today, her age would be 126. She was a celebrated aviator. Barbara Newhall Follett. She was born in March 1914 and she disappeared in 1939. Her age was 25 at the time of her disappearance. Her last seen location was Brookline, Massachusetts. If somehow she is found alive today, her age would be 110. She was an author. Harold Holt. He was born in August 1908 and he disappeared in 1967. His age was 59 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Port St. Victoria. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 115. He was an Australian Prime Minister. Thomas Hale Box Sr. He was born in February 1914 and he disappeared in 1972. His age was 58 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Anchorage, Alaska. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 110. He was a Democrat from Louisiana. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He was born in June 1900 and he disappeared in 1944. His age was 44 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was over the Mediterranean. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 124. He was an author and aviator. Heinrich Müller. He was born in April 1900 and he disappeared in 1945. His age at the time of disappearance was 45. He was last seen in Berlin, Germany. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 124. He was a high-ranked Nazi official. Michael Rockefeller. He was born in May 1938 and he disappeared in 1961. His age was 23 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was New Guinea. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 86. He was the son of New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller. Glenn Miller. He was born in March 1904 and he disappeared in 1944. His age was 40 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was English Channel. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 120. He was a musician. Frank Morris. He was born in September 1926 and he disappeared in 1962. His age was 36 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Maximum Security Prison on Alcatraz Island. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 97. He was a most wanted criminal. Jim Thompson. He was born in March 1906 and he disappeared in 1967. His age at the time of his disappearance was 61 and his last seen location was Malaysia. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 118. He was a well-known businessman. Sean Flynn. He was born in May 1941 and he disappeared in 1970. His age at the time of his disappearance was 28. His last seen location was Cambodia. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 83. He was a famous photojournalist. D.B. Cooper. He was the most mysterious person in the last century. His date of birth is unknown. He disappeared in 1971. His age when he disappeared is still unknown. His last seen location was the Seattle-Tacoma Airport. He hijacked a plane along with $200,000 and he parachuted out into the night with cash, and his body was never found. His identity was never ever found, and the only picture that people see around the internet is just a sketch. Oscar Zeta Acosta. He was born in April 1935 and he disappeared in 1974. His age was 39 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Mexico. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 89. He was an attorney and writer. Jim Sullivan. He was born in August 1939 and he disappeared in 1975. His age was 36 at the time of his disappearance. And his last seen location was New Mexico. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be around 85. He was a famous musician. Jimmy Hoffa. He was born in February 1913 and he disappeared in 1975. His age at the time of his disappearance was 62. His last seen location was Detroit. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 111. He was a labor union leader. Richie Edwards. He was born in December 1967 and he disappeared in 1995. His age was 27 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Embassy Hotel, London. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 56. He was a musician. Scott Smith. He was born in July 1955 and he disappeared in 2000. His age was 36 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Vancouver, Canada. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 68. He was a musician. Joe Pichler. He was born in February 1987 and he disappeared in 2006. His age at the time of his disappearance was 18. His last seen location was Bremerton, Washington. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 37. He was a young actor. Forrest Champ. He was born in 1984 and he disappeared in 2010. His age was 26 at the time of his disappearance. He was last seen in Mexico. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 40. He was a Canadian musician. Rico Harris. He was born in May 1977 and he disappeared in 2014. His age was 37 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Sacramento, California. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 47. He was a famous basketball player. Bison Dele. He was born in April 1969 and he disappeared in 2002. His age was 33 at the time of his disappearance. His last seen location was Tahiti. If somehow he is found alive today, his age would be 55. He was a famous basketball player. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel. Have a nice day.